Some amazing news coming from Sri Lankan Airlines today, of course. The government has decided to absorb $500 million of debt held by Sri Lankan Airlines. Now, the government was looking for investors to purchase Sri Lankan Airlines for quite some time. There were no bidders. They extended the period. There were still no bidders. And now the government has decided to absorb $500 million of the debt of Sri Lankan Airlines. Now, this is similar to me purchasing a car or taking a car on lease, moreover, and then giving it to you and paying off the lease while you enjoy all of the benefits. This is what is happening to the people in Sri Lanka through this decision, of course, to absorb $500 million of the debt of Sri Lankan Airlines. Now, right now, $1 is trading at 308 rupees. Now, at 308 rupees into $500 million, that means that 154 billion Sri Lankan rupees has been absorbed by the treasury. Now, excuse the fancy words when I say absorbed by the treasury. What it really means is that now you and I, the citizens of Sri Lanka, are the ones who have to foot this bill. How much, you ask, per person? 7,000 rupees per person. Per person includes every infant that opens their eyes in this beautiful country is now in debt 7,000 rupees because of the decisions that were taken by those who ran the country and, of course, the higher up at Sri Lankan Airlines, not decisions taken by either you or I. And because of this debt, now in a family of four, if you are a family of four at home watching this program right now, you have to foot 35,000 rupees for the loss incurred by Sri Lankan Airlines. Now, for a time, Sri Lankan Airlines was, of course, managed by the Emirates airline, and it was making profits. And at a time like that, it was this individual, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, who made the policy decision that the government should take over control of Sri Lankan Airlines. He fired Peter Hill, British national, who was running Sri Lankan Airline at a massive, massive profit, thousands and thousands of millions coming in profit every year. But the decision was made to fire him and to take over the control of Sri Lankan Airlines. And this individual who made that policy decision went ahead and appointed this individual, Nishantha Wickramasinghe. You might think that he came there on merit, but of course, the story is quite different. This individual is the brother-in-law of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, his sister's brother to be exact. And this individual was a person who, of course, made the policy decisions on Sri Lankan Airlines that resulted in much of the losses that were suffered by Sri Lankan Airlines. Now, this $500 million loss that is being absorbed by the treasury, of course, includes losses that were suffered by various other transactions made by Sri Lankan Airlines. And these include, of course, the recent procurement of aircrafts from the French Airbus company. $2 million were paid to an intermediary for this procurement. The procurement process was in complete violation of accepted standards here in Sri Lanka. The agreement was marred in corruption. And of course, the government of good governance that came into power after that, the current president, who was the then prime minister, made the decision to terminate this agreement. And guess what? Upon the termination of this agreement, Sri Lankan Airlines had to pay $98 million in damages to the French Airbus company. So 98 million and 2 million, $100 million right there. And don't mistake this. The same thing that happened to that $100 million is going to happen to this $500 million that has been absorbed by the government right now. This seems to be a continuous trend, of course, of decisions that are being taken in Sri Lanka. The higher-ups, the leaders take these abysmal, inept decisions, and you and I are saddled with footing the bill. Of course, the situation of Sri Lankan Airlines is not a result of bad management within Sri Lankan Airlines, or correction, of course, the performance of the employees at Sri Lankan Airlines or their management practices there. It is, of course, the decisions of the higher up, the policy decisions that have been taken at Sri Lankan Airlines that has resulted in this massive loss. This massive loss that the government has now seen it fit to completely ignore. They have taken this loss and they have cleaned their hands with the loss, thrown it away and said, well, you can foot the bill. That is what is happening in Sri Lanka right now. And if one wonders how journalists or the media can comment on such a matter of that needs massive expertise, of course, when the facts are so obvious, when it is blatantly obvious what has happened here and the unjust way that things have happened, you really don't need that much of experience to comment on.